What are the 4 signs that I see when buying a home is a mistake? Hey, Mike Gold here, RE/MAX Alliance North Metro Denver Real Estate. Thank you so much for tuning in. So what are the 4 things that I find when I tell buyers that they're better off by renting or not buying? Well, the first one is if they're going to have to get relatively exotic or do some creative things in order to have a down payment. Typically, the barrier to entry as far as a down payment is 3.5%, and that's usually tied to an FHA loan. Now, you can do other exotic programs where it's a down payment gift that's tied to an FHA loan. You can utilize conventional financing for 80 or 90% down and get the other 20 and 10% through a line of credit, or maybe borrowing from a credit card and having that show up and then paying it back. But ultimately, if you're having to do some of these different type of exotic loans or very creative ways to buy a house, you may not want to do so. I usually will tell my buyers this is not a good idea unless the total costs, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, any sort of private mortgage insurance, as well as well-anticipated utility costs, that total payment is going to be less than what they would otherwise be spending in rent. And in a lot of these situations, it's more advisable to rent than it is to buy. The next one is FOMO. Fear of missing out. The real estate market has been so hot. So many people have made such a great investment or have been able to capitalize on the appreciation in the marketplace that you may feel, well, I have to hop in too, and it's great and it's always going to be great. Well, we've seen markets go up, but we've also seen markets go down. So if you feel that you need to buy because you're going to miss out on the next great big deal or the next great investment, you may want to rethink it. Real estate is a big investment and it's a lifetime investment. So if you're going to do it, you need to make sure that you're doing it for the right reason. The other thing that I see too on this FOMO thing is people that are wanting to buy a house so that way they can keep up with their friends or keep up with the Joneses or be in this, little niche zip code or this special area here or there. Buy the home because it's right for you. Buy the home because it meets your needs and your family's needs, and ultimately is going to be the place that you will enjoy coming home to year in and year out. The next one that I constantly hear is that I need to buy something because I'm throwing money away by renting a house. I've got a client that I've been working with for 3+ years now, and he saves money by renting more so than he would by buying. And mostly because his landlord has got his market rent $500 below what it is. But again, he's saving $500 a month on what it would normally cost him to buy a house. So don't always assume that you're throwing money away. Take a look on what it is actually going to cost you to rent versus buy, and then you'll be able to see really what that number looks like. Lastly, you may say, I've got the down payment, I know what type of home I can afford, and I like everything about it, and I like the location, but ultimately, you're going to be adding a significant drive time to your commute, whether it be to work or what have you. Typically, I find that anyone that starts to get much beyond 35 to 40 minutes of a commute time of what they're not otherwise accustomed to, they're going to regret that decision. So to wrap up, what are the 4 things in which that I see when I tell buyers that, hey, you're better off not buying a house? Well, the first one is if they're having to get exotic with whatever type of down payment money they're coming up with, unless that total dollar amount for the house payment is going to be less than what they would spend in rent. 2 is if they feel that they're missing out on something or otherwise having to keep up with everybody else. 3 is the theory that I'm just throwing money away by renting a house because I don't own it. And then lastly is by buying a house when you have to really extend your commute time. So I hope you found the information to be of value. If you would like to analyze if you're making any of these mistakes, download my report or contact me and we can set up a buyer consultation to ensure that you're making a smart decision. Thank you so much for tuning in.